The length of mother tongue medium education was in both Ramirez and Thomas and Collier's study more important than any other factor in predicting the educational success of bilingual students. It was also much more important than socioeconomic status, which is something that is extremely vital in relation to oppressed indigenous, tribal, or minority students. The worst results were with students in regular submersion programs, where the students' mother tongues were either not supported at all, or where they only had some mother tongue as a subject instruction, meaning a subtractive learning situation. And Teresa McCarthy, who has done a lot with Navajo students in Arizona, she quotes studies and statistics from all US and writes about the consequences of medium of instruction policies and says indigenous and other minoritized students experience the lowest rates of educational achievement, the lowest family incomes, and particularly among indigenous youth, the highest rates of depression and teen suicides. Tsui and Tollefson conclude in their book Medium of Instruction Policies on the basis of worldwide studies the use of a foreign language as a medium of education for children who are still struggling with basic expression in that language, like what you were explaining, hampers not only their academic achievement and cognitive growth, but also their self-perception, self-esteem, emotional security, and their ability to participate meaningfully in the educational process. And there are hundreds of smaller studies showing similar conclusions. I have done some of them myself, with many different types of groups, many languages, and from many countries. And the knowledge is not new. These kind of things have been said already in the middle of the 1700s. We have massive evidence from India, from the late 1800s, as you might know, Curzon report, for instance, and UNESCO has this very, very solid 1953 report, and so on. We have known all of this for a very long time. I have here some results from bilingual education, which lasts for 8 years, from Burkina Faso, but I won't go through this. This shows on a larger scale exactly what you showed, how much better those who have had education through the medium of their own language are doing in final exams, even if the final exams are in French. Here too, something about it. So all these studies show both the positive results of additive mother tongue medium maintenance education and the mostly negative results of subtractive dominant language medium education. Only strong models for both indigenous and minority and dominant group children reach the educational goals. Language maintenance, meaning language shelter programs for minorities, many two-way programs in this country, for instance, and the European Union school model for minorities and majorities, and many immersion programs for majorities. All these are strong models which do reach the educational goals. And all of them use mainly a minority language as the main teaching language during the first many years. The longer it is used, the better the results in terms of high-level biomultilingualism and school achievement. So, the most important language writing education for indigenous tribal peoples and minorities, if they want to achieve the educational goals and if they also want to reproduce themselves as peoples or minorities, is an unconditional right to mainly mother tongue medium education in non-fee state schools. And this education, which of course then includes teaching of a dominant language as a subject given by bilingual teachers, should continue minimally 8 years, preferably longer. Today, binding educational linguistic rights are more or less non-existent, and this education, which kids get now, is organized against solid research evidence about how it should be organized. Is this what we want? And then I'll come to my final things. This is slide 68 of the 79. I'll just sum up some of the leading principles for strong models, 8 recommendations. And this comes from a book from 1995 from Ofelia Garcias and my article, a book that I edited, which is called Multilingualism for All. And we compared lots and lots of different programs and tried to look at what were the principles that those programs that really succeeded, what were the principles that they followed. Firstly, support, meaning use as the main medium of education, at least during the first 8 years, that language of the two that the child is supposed to become bilingual in initially, which is least likely to develop up to a high formal level. And this is for all indigenous or minority children, their own mother tongue. For majority children, it should be a minority language. So if we wanted, for instance, to raise the level of intelligence and creativity in this country quite substantially, not one child in this country would need to be educated through the medium of English. Children should initially be grouped together according to their mother tongues. Mixed groups are not positive initially. Thirdly, all children are to become high-level bilinguals, not only minority children. Fourthly, all children have to be equalized vis-à-vis the status of their mother tongues and their knowledge of the language of instruction. Nice phrases about the worth of everybody's mother tongue, the value of interculturalism or diversity for that matter, serve little purpose unless they are followed up in how schools are structurally organized and run. It's possible to equalize the children vis-à-vis their knowledge of the language of instruction in several different ways, but I won't, let me see, I'll just see if I have that. Yes, no, I will jump over that part. 5, all teachers have to be bi or multilingual. A monolingual teacher is a bad role model, and a monolingual teacher cannot help in supporting the development of the metalinguistic awareness where one compares the languages. That is the main causal factor behind the fact that high-level multilinguals can show better results as a group on several cognitive tasks and creativity, cognitive flexibility, divergent thinking than monolinguals. Foreign language should be taught through the medium of the children's mother tongue and by teachers who know the children's mother tongue. All children must study both languages as compulsory subjects through all grades from 1 to 12, and both languages have to be used as media of education in some phase of the children's education, but the progression in how and how much each is used seems to vary for minority and majority children. And I'll jump over how that should be done, but that is in lots of books. And then I'll come to the end. An important reason for maintaining all the world's languages is that linguistic diversity and biodiversity are correlationally and causally related. Knowledge about how to maintain biodiversity is encoded in the small languages, and through killing them, we kill the prerequisites for maintaining biodiversity. And I'll jump over that one and this one and take this. The question, if we are interested in more equity in the world, in reducing the gaps, is in Misra and Mohanty's view. What is the most critical and most cost-effective input, thinking of what Francois said this morning, to change the conditions of poverty, or rather in Amartya Sen's sense, to expand human capabilities? There is a general consensus, Misra and Mohanty say, a general consensus among the economists, psychologists and other social scientists that education is perhaps the most crucial input. And then what can governments do in order to promote multilingualism and school achievement? Both indigenous, tribal and minority education could be organized so as to promote high levels of multilingualism, and I list some examples here. And one book, Imagining Multilingual Schools, Languages in Education and Globalization, has articles from all over the world on how multilingual education has been organized and can be organized. And then the ex-minister of education in Iraqi Kurdistan, when I interviewed him when I was in Iraqi Kurdistan in March 2006, he said something that I hope that every single education minister in the world would say and implement. Every child in the world has the right to education through the medium of their mother tongue.